Hey everyone, it's Ride 1940 here, and today we're going to take a look at sea power naval combat in the missile age. This is going to be a tutorial on missile sponges. Well, this is actually going to be a tutorial on surviving missile barrage. You guys wanted to see how the heck do you counter those SS-N-19 Shipwreck missiles. So I'm going to show you how to do that. There's obviously the number one way to counter that missile system is to use your carrier air power to kill that platform, right? If we think of the harpoon range at 65 nautical miles compared to the shipwreck missiles, which can go 378 nautical miles, we're really outgunned if we try to use those missiles from our ships here. So we'd have to close the range somehow undetected and then kill the ship that way or the submarine that way. For instance, we'll just talk about this being on a ship because we're facing the Kirov in this scenario. This is a test scenario made just to demonstrate everything. If I have air power, I can put that 65 nautical mile weapon system on a plane that can go a couple hundred nautical miles, and then now I can go reach out and touch the ship and keep my strike group safe. So that's the first way you want to kill stuff like that. Let's say if everything fails, we need to rely on our ships here. And let's take a look around here, around the Kitty Hawk. This is the formation leader. I want to speed them up. If you look around, you really could only see one ship within visual range. That's the Spruance class. And this is how your formation should be. You've got to spread them out, okay? Really, if you look at... I think most people, when they build their formations, they give themselves 10 nautical miles and they pile all the ships in here. This is really dense for targets, right? If missiles are coming in, I just got to get these missiles into this little bubble here and I'm going to kill something, or I'm going to kill multiple things. If you run this same test scenario with the Kitty Hawk in a tight formation like this, you lose I think 3/4 of your ships most of the times. Because those shipwreck missiles are actually pretty good in terms of delineating which targets they need to go to. So one missile can communicate with another missile or groups of missiles, and so a few will go towards the Tycho, a few will go towards the Nox, a few will go towards the Leahy. So it's a pretty cool missile system. The warhead's 650 pounds, or 1,650 pounds. So if you think about that, that's one hit from that is most likely going to severely damage your ship if it doesn't sink it outright. So multiple missiles absolutely will sink a ship. So we've got this idea of the missile sponge here for that reason. You know, Kirov has 20 of the shipwreck missiles, and if I can get Kirov to waste as many of those missiles as possible on a ship that isn't really significant in terms of this scenario. If I was to lose atoms, sucks to lose a ship, but if I was to lose any ship here in this formation, I would want to lose the Nox or the atoms because they're not as capable as these other guys. Now we'll see it play out because atoms, this poor little guy, is absolutely going to be a missile sponge today. This always plays out just like this, and this is why you should be using this tactic. Now I say missile sponge kind of as a joke, but really that's what the escorts were about. You know, they're protecting the high value unit, the Kitty Hawk here, and so if it's time to eat missiles, you know, you want to try and shoot down as many as possible, but at the end of the day, if it's going to happen, it's got to be you, and that's just a sad reality of things. So Adams is going to be our little missile sponge here. I've also put the Nox up front, so if hopefully to tempt some missiles before those scary missiles start targeting the Ticonderoga or Leahy. Now you can imagine these cruisers, if they get shot at and sunk early, it's incredibly detrimental to our air defense picture to lose shooters like that because they've got advanced weapons that these other guys don't have. And so let's talk about what they've got. The Leahy has 80 nautical mile range SM-2 ERs. Ticonderoga has 40 nautical mile range SM-2 MRs. The Adams has the SM-1 MRs, and those go 24.6. There we go. The Nox class has terrible rim 7Fs, 10 nautical mile range. The Spruance class has 14 nautical mile range, rim 7 mics. Okay. We see here, we can already see everyone's radiating, and we've also got Hawkeye up, so we can see these missiles come down pretty far out. 90 nautical miles. I think these guys are 100 nautical miles plus. So we're detecting them pretty far out, which is great news for us because we've got some long-range shooters. It's not necessarily true that Leahy's going to be able to engage in these bubbles because it doesn't might not have like the targeting information, and I think some of that is dependent on the FCRs being able to see it, the fire control radars. So we'll let this close, but if we look at from a Kitty Hawk's perspective, Adams is 35 nautical miles ahead. Okay. It can theoretically start shooting at stuff almost 25 nautical miles ahead, so we're looking at potentially shooting at things 60 nautical miles from the formation leader. So this is kind of like a crappy, dangerous tower defense game, right? We want to absorb as many missiles as possible and shoot as many down, and hopefully have our high value units stay alive. You can see Leahy now is starting to engage some of these missiles. As they get closer, Ticonderoga is going to start opening up as well. And Adams usually will survive a few of these up front, and I'm going to show you this. This is probably what's going to kill the Adams, and this is, if we count the missiles here, let's pause. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright. Yes, typically this can usually be a barrage of like 10. So there's probably more in this. I think this one will be packed with like 7 missiles or so. There's a couple leakers, or not leakers here, but stragglers that are ahead of the pack, and they're just kind of onesie twosies. We're going to shoot these ones down pretty easily. We'll shoot a few down in this, but Adams is going to probably eat this massive amount of missiles, and that's a good thing, because if we're going to lose any ship, we don't want it to be the Kitty Hawk, and we don't want it to be these guys that have the long range anti-air weapons. If we do lose some ships, it's okay. I think a lot of people put a lot of emphasis on not losing any ships when they play the scenarios, and you know, I think it's in fleet tactics, or maybe it's in fighting the fleet. They talk about unit commanders shouldn't be so risk averse that they want to preserve all their ships, so that in doing so they're kind of playing it too safe, and that stops them from potentially pursuing an enemy that they can destroy with the rest of their firepower. You know, naval combat is all about these salvos going back and forth, so just like we can sink ships with our missile barrages, the enemy can certainly do the same thing. It's kind of just how we manage that. That's the important part in naval combat. So we're trying to manage this with our anti-air defense. Certainly these ships on their own, some of them have ECM capabilities. They'll automatically do that kind of stuff. You don't have to do anything as a player. And we've got chaff that we can manually launch, or launch, or the ships launch automatically. Alright, so Tycho's got a few missiles to contend with. Adams here is up front shooting at no one at the moment. There we go, so Tycho's safe. Well, this one looks pretty dangerous here. Look how many missiles the Ticonderoga and the Leahy can pump out. So these guys are very important shooters, and that's kind of why we have them a little bit further back in the formation. We don't want to put these guys at the head of the formation, because if you're gonna lose ships, and usually it's the guy that's up front on the threat axis that gets hit first. Not necessarily true all the time because, you know, combat is random. Some missiles may fly over the atoms and go towards somebody and just get a lucky shot, that kind of thing. But for the most part, that's generally how it'll play out. Alright, some of these missiles are starting to leak through, but we're still getting them. Oh, that one's good. Alright, here we go. This is what I want to see. This is what I want to show you guys. Okay, this is the missile sponge in action. Okay. We'll look at these missiles here. Let's pause this. There we go. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 missiles. 6 missiles. Alright, so 6 missiles, 5 struck the atoms. That is the definition of the missile sponge. Okay, we've got 1 leaker that's gone by, and I'm confident Ticonderoga is going to be able to shoot that single missile down. In fact, we can watch that. In terms of fighting the Kirov, that ship carries 20 of these shipwreck missiles, right? So we've probably weathered a barrage of more than 10 right now, so there's probably 1 more barrage coming. If we could weather that, great, we've only lost the atoms. If we lose another ship to that, that's okay. I prefer it to be the Nox, but if it's the Ticonderoga, it's alright as well. If we think about things in terms of the dynamic campaign, weapon ammo counts will be persistent. So if you enter a scenario and you shoot down, if you fire off all your shipwreck missiles and that scenario's over and maybe you ran away, you could still be kind of screwed because I can still have my carriers out there hunting you down as you try to return to port. Oh, this one's going to be one of those lucky ones I was talking about. Oh, man. That was a close hit. See, naval combat's very random just because you cannot predict how some missiles will miss. And, you know, it missed the atoms and then it just barely missed the Ticonderoga. You can't predict stuff like that. It just happens. Anyways, so, yeah, if you were to use the Kirov to launch all your shipwreck missiles and try to run away, well, now I've got carriers that can hunt you down. And in terms of the order of battle of things, the Kirov is worth more than the atoms, right? That's a 28,000 ton battle cruiser or missile cruiser that's got I think the Soviets at the time in the Cold War only made 4 of them. They wanted to make 5, but they only made 4. So if I can sink one of those ships, that's 25% of that they've got in their fleet just gone, right? The Adams class, I think they made 25 to 30 of them, and that's a 3,000 ton vessel. So that is a great trade-off, right? If I even lose the Tycho, the Navy made 27 of those ultimately. So if I lose one of those, you know, and that's like a 9,000 ton vessel. So just think of it in terms of that. You're trading off ships, and the Kirov, once that's gone, I could, even with my surface fleet here, I can go hunt that ship down and sink it with my harpoons and close the range, because there's really nothing else the Kirov can hold that'll reach out beyond my harpoon range. Certainly, of course, like I said before, the best way to counter it is using your air power beforehand, but this is like if all else fails, what do you do, and how do we withstand that missile barrage? Yep, so I'm going 10x. I can see that when I do that, the missiles are inbound. So we'll try to weather this final storm here and see how we do. Oh, let's get rid of this range ring here. You see, even with Adams gone, we still have a pretty decent bubble because Ticonderoga can hold down the fort. Okay, so this final barrage is probably going all towards the Tycho, so we'll see if she can weather it. She might not be able to. That's a lot of missiles there. Alright. What do we got here? Oh, I don't... Yeah, this is not going to end well for the Tycho, I'll tell you right now. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 missiles that I could see. Yeah, poor Tycho's going to go down as well. Oh, there's more than that. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 missiles. Yep, here we go. Yep, she's met her demise. But, you know, our high value unit, the Kitty Hawk, stays alive. And certainly we're going to kill the Kirov, because we'll be able to close within missile range and take care of it. So, yeah, I wanted to make this video just to show you guys, you know, you're going to lose ships, right? It's hard to go against 20 of those shipwreck missiles like that, but we only lost 2 ships. I guarantee if you did this same experiment with your forces within 10 nautical miles of each other, a lot of ships are going to be sunk. So there's a lot of weight in how you build these formations. So always think about who do I want my missile sponge to be, who am I comfortable with losing, and then kind of bias them towards the front and kind of hold your heavy hitters with the air defense weapons a little bit closer towards the high value unit, but still spread them out. If we look at my formation here with Kitty Hawk, you know, Tycho and Leahy, they're 20 nautical miles ahead of the Kitty Hawk. And really with carrier strike groups, we'd have a lot more supporting vessels, but so we can kind of have even tighter air defense bubbles around here. But I just wanted to make this as a simple test scenario that you can just see the missiles kind of funneling into the air defense channels and getting shot down. So yeah, put a lot of weight into using your missile sponges. That's great for just single player scenarios, but ultimately it'll have a lot more weight when we have the dynamic campaign, because if I'm trading off an Adams and a Tycho for a Kirov, you know, I've got plenty of these ships and they've only got a few Kirovs. So once that stuff is once all those ships are found and I sink them all, then it's gonna be a lot easier. Now there are other platforms that carry the shipwreck missiles, like I think the Oscars do as well. That one is going to require like long range ASW, and it's kind of hard to just find a ship out in the middle of the ocean. But luckily in the Atlantic Ocean and the Pacific Ocean, a lot of times you get convergence zones where you can detect things pretty far out, like 30 plus nautical miles. In the game, that's how that plays. And maybe you can get some lucky detections. Maybe the Oscar can't particularly find you. There's just a lot of ways to go about searching for that. And if we were to do an ASW search, we'd definitely want to space these ships out quite a bit, get quite a bit ahead of the Kitty Hawk to maximize our chances of detection. So anyways, I just wanted to show you guys that you can use a missile sponge. It is really effective in the game. It's the Adams we just saw, I think 8-5 missiles there, I think it was, out of 6. 1 missed and went on, got shot down. And think about your formation placements and how you spread your guys out. Really don't bundle everybody close to the high value unit. It's just asking for tremendous amount of damage, and you're kind of you're making the enemy have an easy lunch. Okay, so I hope you guys learned a lot, and if you have any questions, leave comments below and I'll try to get to them, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.